Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Taffel, and today we are doing another episode of UF's Research Talks. So today we have Dr. Gideon Alake as our guest. So how did you get involved with the Bree Lab, and what are you currently doing in the Bree Lab?
I came to the Bree Lab in January this year, 2020, as a postdoctoral associate. So far involved in a lot of activities in the lab, and one of the primary activities was this Oriental fruit fly project that we are doing that and primarily leading here in our lab. Oriental fruit fly, which is from the genus Bactrocera, and the species dorsalis, has been intercepted periodically in Florida and at some specific ports of entries. Okay, so the question is, it has been intercepted, and sometimes it has invaded the state, and the state has incurred a lot of these economic losses from agricultural producers, and also from the cost involved in eradicating the pests. So the question we had in mind, or objective of this project, was to understand what are the factors that would help these Bactrocera species, that is the oriental fruit fly, to get established in Florida. Okay, where are they coming in from? The question is, where are they coming in from? So we are using climate as well as population dynamics model to enhance our survey tools for the oriental fruit fly at the different port of entries. And we're also trying to provide a risk assessment that would help us determine and understand the primary pathways, okay? And then last, we have a couple of objectives, but we also want to generate accurate oriental fruit fly risk map that would help or guide us in our domestic surveillance efforts. So that's one of the projects. So the second project here is the squash bug project. The squash bug project came in recently, and we've had the first few trials that were quite positive. So what is the squash bug project? So we are using some trap crops, some cucurbits to discourage the squash bug from going into the main crop. So this is the trap crops we use here is part of an integrated pest management approach, which is aimed to provide economic, environmental, and net benefit to growers in both large scale and small scale farming systems. So in this case, we have the main crop, which is the crop that the grower wants to protect, that the farmer actually want to protect. For instance, we have watermelon. The farmer wants to protect the watermelon, and then we have to add some. We have some trap crops at the perimeter, or just some perimeter of the fields, areas around the field that would encourage or we attract these insects to them. So here we call them sacrificial crop, okay? So these crops encourage or attract these insects, these squash bug to them, and then they come to this crop, lay eggs, would complete multiple generations, and are killed and trapped and killed in the process before finding their way to the main crop. So that's the whole idea. So we want to get them first before they get to the main crop. So that is quite interesting. We are looking forward to the second trial and the many new results that we'll be getting at the end of the second trial.
Very interesting. So would you like to continue on your other extension in the Bree Lab?
Okay, so I'm also I've been involved in assisting with the Florida Falls Detector workshops. We have had some workshops in the past right now that I've assisted in moderating part of the workshop, and that has been quite an experience to me, because you see a lot of people coming into the workshop who you think, okay, I mean, what do they need this workshop for? But they are really turning out, and the turnout was really impressive because these people are really ready to learn. They want to learn new ideas, they want to get new information about how to manage these invasive pests or species around them. So it's quite interesting for me that I see a lot of these people actually turning up for these workshops. So the other part is also the pest alert. That is, as the name goes, you have to sound an alert every time. You say, "Oh, we have a pest here. We have a pest here." But the point is, what I've done so far was to, write about past, present, and emerging pests relevant to Florida agriculture, and this includes pests that, if introduced into Florida, has the potential to establish and to cause economic damage in Florida agriculture. So I write a lot about them. So one thing that I learned from this is that when I got started, it was really quite shaky because you feel you have to kind of transition from more academic language to a language that the people out there understand, to the language of the people, so to speak. That's how I would want to call it. But so writing in the language of the people is an interesting perspective to the experience that I had, because that makes me to really relate to them more and express some of these technical terms in terms that they can really understand. So far I've contributed about 16 articles to this pest alert. And then we've seen increased activities around these articles on Twitter. When we post it on Twitter, we see people liking, actually also retweeting about these articles. So I mean, it has had a wider reach now, and this is evident in the fact that every week we get people join following us on Twitter, because they probably want to read more of these our articles.
So what are some examples of pest alerts that you've done in the past?
I have multiple examples. So one of them is about the red ring nematode. So we have the red ring nematode. The concept of the red ring nematode is quite self-explanatory, because it creates this red ring around the trunk of these palms. It could be coconut or palm trees or some other species of palms, and you can only see that effect when you cut through to see the trunk. You can see that characteristic red coloration that forms a complete circle around the trunk. I think it's interesting because we want, even if people have heard about it before, we want them to still understand that it still continues to be a threat to some of those plant species. So we want to keep them informed continuously about the persistent threats that these nematodes pose to such plant species.
So if people find a pest that's in one of these pest alerts, where can they report it?
I think one of those things that we did so well in our pest alert very recently is the fact that we also help direct some people. These people, if they found any pest, if they want to report, to the appropriate portals where they can call a number, or where they can they have an email, or where we give them links to forms that they can fill online, that they can submit and get appropriate response on what's the next step to take with respect to what they have found.
All right. Thank you so much for zooming in today to share this information.
You're welcome.
And thank you to all our viewers for watching another episode. Stay tuned for more.